This is one of Jim's, that's a pretty loaded quote, right? The question of independence, the question of one nation having the right and independence having the right to rule another. But in that quote comes out of a larger philosophy of Jefferson. And the philosophy has often been termed as permanent revolution, right? One of Jefferson's ideas was that we're in a constant revolution. And for democracy to truly work, that revolution has to go from generation to generation. We can't be satisfied with that first revolution of the founding fathers. The revolution has to be ongoing. It has to reimagine itself with every generation. Now, let there be no question that our generation, or this generation, is reimagining that revolution. The major problem is that copyright and laws can't keep up with that revolution. Here's another video to give you a good example of that. This is from actually it's a Canadian film, produced, I believe, or funded at least by the National Film Board of Canada, and it's called RIP, a Remix Manifesto. And I'm going to show you the actual trailer to this video. So here we go.
Today we're going to create a mashup, a fun and adventurous way to make something fresh out of something stale.
Hello, my name is Craig Gillis in this cubicle, and outside of here everyone knows me as Girl Talk.
Corporations are completely taking over our culture and telling us that we can only consume it. And we're saying no. We're saying we want to actually create with it, respond to it, take it, mutilate it, cut it up.
Afraid when you land in jail or get sued or we know what he does, supposedly it's copyright infringement.
Part of what we're trying to do here is make people understand what they're doing is illegal.
You can get 5 years in jail and $250,000 fines for every single song you sing.
Trying to get another mission to stop piracy.
This is remix. This is not piracy.
They can take up to 25% of their wages to try and pay back $222,000.
Lawsuits against 10-year-olds, against stroke victims, against dead people. You can't put laws on your citizens.
Disney lawyers have taken aim at this Florida daycare center, saying it has no right to use Disney characters on its wall.
Basically, we have a mouse disease. Artists inflicted with this impulse to draw your stupid mouse.
I think that what's happening with copyright is the same thing that happened with masturbation. People are sort of too into it to do it.
Everyone's just going to keep getting more and more extreme with protecting their own ideas. I think eventually everyone's going to realize that it's beneficial to share ideas.
É a própria natureza da criação. There's no way to kill this technology. You can only criminalize its use. If this is a crime, then we have a whole generation of criminals.
All this stuff makes me want to download a movie. Cut this thing down!
And there's a pull-away quote from there, right? Sharing is the nature of creation. Sharing, in some very fundamental level, is why we create. And in some real way, we've moved away from that. And how we've moved away from that has been dictated, and that video or that movie is a really good indication of this, has been dictated by laws, has been dictated by an outdated logic of copyright. That we, right now, are working with it. Right? But it's not the only way to imagine it. And the fact is, this revolution is happening whether we like it or not. Right? People are sharing. People are remixing. People are reimagining culture. And one really important thing here to think about is that culture is ours in some real way. We kind of imagine it, we produce it, and we consume it. And the fact that we're cut off from it is a problem. And it might be one of the greatest problems of our moment, is how we can reconnect and reimagine with our culture, especially at a place like the university, where we're supposed to be the space where culture is reimagined. is reinterpreted, right? Some kind of real vision of that space of culture. Well, here I have a kind of logic of this new revolution, right? A kind of space of the generation, whether we like it or not, is not thinking about copyright in the same way we are. It's thinking about sharing in very different ways, right? I saw a blog post on Mario's blog last night. And what it basically said is, whether we like it or not, and this comes from Neil Young, people are going to be sharing this stuff in their bedroom. And how do we reimagine that? And how do universities become a place where that reimagining is first and foremost in their mind? I mean, that's really a huge question. Now, to say that this happens is one thing, but to give you some examples is another, right? We have opened up a lot of these possibilities at Mary Washington, and I'll talk about it in a second. I'll talk about how we're using blogs, and I'll talk about how we don't call them blogs anymore. We call them something else entirely. But the question here, and the idea here, is how do we share and how do individuals publish for themselves? How does the personal web and the logic of the personal web through something like a blog change the very way we access culture? Well, here's a good example. This is a student at Mary Washington. Her name is Serena Epstein. And I'll talk about her a little bit because she's a really impressive student. She's done some wild stuff. Well, this is a mashup she made. Does everyone know what a mashup is? Right? You take two unlike things, kind of like a poetic device, right? And you mash them together to create something new. Well, she actually did this with a Little Mermaid, of all things. And she mashed Little Mermaid up with Risky Business. Now, I hope this isn't all lost on you, but take a look at this.
So your folks are going out of town?
Darling, as far as the house is concerned, just use your best judgment. You know justice.
Got the place all to yourself. A good time, children, in the privacy of your own home.
Are you ready for me?
What else can you ask for?
So, how's everything else? You got enough money?
Well, never seems to go as far as you think it will. She told me I could make more money in one night than I make all year. She told me she'd be my girlfriend. Make your move. Every now and then, say what the...
You had a good time last night?
I had a great time.
Coming to DVD and Blu-ray on September 16th, the 25th anniversary Deluxe Edition.
Who's the U-boat commander?
This whole new edition has been digitally remastered and will take you inside its iconic film as never before.
Don't believe this. I've got a trading intern tomorrow and I'm being chased by Guido, the killer pimp. My name is Joe Goodson. I deal in human fulfillment. It's out of your life, huh, kid?
She's actually doing this for a visual rhetoric class. So she's in a class where she's asked to take some visual rhetoric that's out there. Here we have Ariel, right, from The Little Mermaid. And then we have Risky Business. She's taking these two things and reimagining them in a space. And what it does, and what often mashups come to be, is somewhat of a critique on Disney, right? Disney's great to hate. Everybody loves to hate Disney, right? Because, you know, they reimagine copyright for eternity, right? By the time we get to their, you know, copyright will all be up in, you know, 4000 BC or 4000 AD, whatever it would be. So, I mean, but one of the other things I think about this is through this media, our students are able to reimagine literacy, right? Literacy is not simply about writing. It's also about some sort of visual, rhetorical literacy. And you kind of see this with the